So, let me tell you about this guy. He's a fucking legend. Today I was bored and I had no writing left. I forgot to write the second script for my what if in what if I was in My Hero Academia and what if Deku had beast breathing. So I was scrolling through Wattpad and I stumbled upon Sesake, and he made Dark Side. And I began reading it, and it was a My Hero Academia what if Deku joined the League of Villains, and I began reading it and I was like, jeez, oh my, this is actually good. And I messaged the guy. I was just like, hey, is it right if I record a video for this? Like, I really like it, could I like record what you've written? And he's like, yeah, sure. And I mean, such a nice guy. I was surprised he even responded to me. I'm so surprised. So hopefully I make this series justice. Hopefully this guy's hopefully Sesake doesn't get grumpy on what I've recorded. Hopefully he likes what I've done. Hopefully he likes the thumbnail. Hopefully he likes the editing I'm gonna do. I'll have no sleep tonight, but that's totally okay. So, into the what if.
Silent switch.
Is it possible to become a hero, even though I don't have a quirk? Izuku stood atop a tall building with the No.1 Hero and his idol, All Might. I'm a normal kid without any powers, but even so, can I still become a hero like you? All Might turned his head to look at the young boy, but before he could answer him, he felt a sharp pain, causing him to bend over as smoke started to emit his body. No, not now. Not here, he thought. Izuku was looking down, so he didn't notice this, and kept talking, telling All Might a bit about what he had gone through and how despite what he was told, he still wanted to be a hero. I want to be the kind of hero people look up to, just like you, he said, finally looking up. But he was surprised at what he saw. After freaking out for a minute or so, All Might was able to calm Izuku down before explaining his situation and why it needed to be kept secret. After all, All Might decided to answer Izuku's question. Poor heroes are always having to risk their lives, and some villains just can't be beat without powers, so no, you cannot be a hero. Izuku was shocked and he felt something inside of him break. Everyone, even All Might himself, thought it would be impossible for him to do it. All Might continued to explain, but Izuku couldn't really hear him anymore and simply nodded to everything All Might said. All Might began to walk towards the door that led downstairs. It's not bad to have a dream, young man, but make sure your dreams are attainable and realistic. After he left, Izuku continued to stand there for a while before he broke down and fell to his knees, crying. He stayed like that for a couple of minutes before getting up and walking towards the ledge. He set down his backpack, reaching inside and grabbing his hero journal. Inside was a list of notes he had taken from observing pros in order to prepare himself for the life of a hero. But it was now nothing more than a painful reminder of what he couldn't achieve. He gave it one last look before tossing it off the side of the building, before grabbing his bag and down and on his way home. On his way home, Izuku remembered all things people told him over the years, how he was useless and unwanted and that he wouldn't amount to anything, how his own mother didn't even believe that he could become a hero, and how earlier that day, his so-called childhood friend told him to jump off a building and hope to be reborn with a quirk. Izuku stopped walking. I should have done it while I was still up there, he thought. Though, that wouldn't be fair to Mum. I should tell her goodbye before doing that. He started to walk again, drowning in his misery. Izuku kept walking along when he passed an electronics store and saw through the window display a TV showing a disaster happening live. Near the building him and All Might talked. He was about to walk away when he saw the sludge villain who attacked him earlier and his childhood friend. The villain had somehow escaped All Might and was currently wreaking havoc, while using Bakugo as a hostage. Izuku kept watching when he noticed something in the reflection of the window. He was smiling. He was happy that Bakugo was suffering, and about all the destruction that was being caused. That, for once, Bakugo would finally get the chance to see what it felt like to be weak and powerless, and this disgusted him. He quickly started to walk away with his head full of different emotions, not sure about what to think, but after seeing how he smiled at what was happening, he sank even deeper into sadness. When he finally got home, he quickly headed up to his room. He sat down in his bed, trying to sort through his thoughts. He continued to do so even when he went down for dinner, and still after that. But no matter how hard he fought, he couldn't figure out how he had found joy in what had happened. He finally decided to go for a walk to clear his head, putting on a jacket, finally managing to stop thinking about what had happened. That was when he realized that he wasn't paying attention to where he was walking, and that he had somehow ended up back at the building from earlier that day, and everything came crashing back. How messed up can I be? Maybe Kachan was right. Maybe I should kill myself, he whispered. Well, what would be the point in that? Izuku quickly turned towards the nearby alleyway where he had heard the voice coming from. Standing there was a man in a bartender's outfit, with a body that looked like it was made from black smoke. Who are you? My name is Kurojiri, and I would like to speak with you for a moment. Okay, so that's the first chapter. Bruh. I'll read chapter 2 as well. Izuku stared at the man, backing away. What do you want with me? Kurojiri held up both of his hands. Like I said, I just want to talk. Don't worry, I mean you no harm. Izuku stopped, staring at him uncertainly. And what is it you want to talk about? Not here. Let's talk somewhere else. Kurojiri stepped aside, creating a portal next to him. After all, it's someone else who actually wishes to speak with you. Normally Izuku wouldn't have trusted him and would have instantly started calling for help, but seeing as he contemplated suicide, he didn't care what happened to him and walked through. On the other side was an empty bar with fully stocked shelves and a couple couches and a monitor in the corner. Standing in the middle of the room was a skinny, pale-looking young adult with pale hair, wearing a black long-sleeve shirt and a large hand that covered his face for some reason. As Izuku took all this in, the young man turned towards Izuku, his scarlet eyes glaring at him. So you're the brat that has Sensei so interested for some reason, huh? He said, not even bothering to hide the obvious contempt in his voice, though I don't have the faintest clue as why Sensei is so interested in you. He extended his hand towards Izuku as if to shake hands, but instead of taking it, Izuku backed away from him. He didn't know why, but something was telling him that this guy was dangerous, and that he shouldn't touch his hand. Enough, Tomura. Izuku jumped when he heard the voice shout out, looking around for the source when he saw the monitor had turned on. He could barely make out the shoulders of the man in the suit, but the rest of him was covered in darkness. I already told you that young Izuku here was not to be harmed, the man said, before anyone else could Izuku spoke up. How do you know me? And why am I here? And what do you want from me? The man in the monitor cleared his throat before speaking. I'm all for one, and I'm the leader of the League of Villains. I'd Kurogiri bring you here because I wanted to have a talk with you. What could a group of villains possibly want with me? Izuku asked. I'm glad to see that you're taking this pretty calmly. Izuku shook his head. Normally, I would be terrified, but if you wanted to hurt me, you wouldn't bother trying to have a civil conversation with me like this, or I've stopped this guy. Though, if we're being honest, I really don't care either way. Izuku looked up at the ceiling. I'm just tired of it all. Life is just too painful, and I don't want to suffer anymore. Yes, it is. But what if I told you that things could be better? Izuku looked back down at the man in the monitor. What are you offering? To kill me? If so, then why even bother bringing me here? Seems pretty stupid to me. Hey you, what's your turn? I won't watch as you talk to Sensei with such disrespect, Tomura growled. It's alright, Tomura. After all, I still haven't explained why I brought him here. Now, Izuku, depending on how things go, I very well may have you killed. But before that, I have a proposition. And what is that? It has to do with this, All For One said, holding up a burnt notebook that Izuku instantly recognized. It was his notebook that he had tossed from the roof earlier that day. Why do you have that? And actually, what does that have to do with anything? Why, this has everything to do with why I wanted to talk with you. You see, Kurogiri was passing by when he found this, or rather, it found him. It's a good thing that his head is made of mist, or this would have done quite a bit of damage. Curious as what it was, he opened it, and was surprised when he saw the contents. The work in here is some of the best that he had ever seen, even better than some professionals, and I agreed with his assessment when he showed me. Izuku was surprised of what he was hearing. Nobody had ever praised him like this before. That is why you are here, All For One said. If possible, I'd like to employ your talents for the League. This talent of yours could prove to be very valuable assets to us. Izuku held up his hand before All For One could continue. Do you really believe a word that you're saying? Tomura started to step forward, clearly annoyed. But before he could do anything, All For One spoke up, answering Izuku's question. I assume you're saying this because of how you're treated, because you don't have a quirk. Understandable given today's society. However, I for one do not care about something as trivial as that. To me, a quirk is like a tool. I want you because a master with shabby equipment can do much better work than a fool with the best tools in the world. I won't ask for you to share what has happened to you, but I do ask that you consider my offer to join us. Izuku was baffled. Usually people treated him like he was worthless, just because he didn't have a quirk, but this man didn't care, and even treated him like he was better. Izuku started to feel hope for the first time in a long time. He was about to agree when he thought of something. Before I answer, I'd like to make some conditions. Even though he couldn't see his face, he was sure that All For One was grinning. After all, only a fool would blindly plunge into something like this blindly. Izuku grinned. First of all, I will not kill, especially not innocents. After all, I'm not some monster. I would also like to have a bit of control over what I do. And finally, I'd like to be provided a place to live. After hearing you talk, I really don't want to die anymore. And if I refuse to join, you'll kill me to cover up loose ends. So I'm stuck. But I would rather not drag my mom down with me. And don't call me Izuku or Midoriya. That person's dead. All for One started to chuckle a bit. Ha ha ha. You're right. We would have gotten rid of you. But I promise, if you join, then all your conditions will be met. And I will help you disappear so that if possible, no one you care about will get involved. So now that the old is dead, what should we call you now? Izuku grinned as he looked at the monitor. I hope you're glad, Kachan, because I really did become a good for nothing. Call me Deku. But if it's a little bit longer, I'm sorry for the long video. I really like the series though. I really like this fanfic. So this is going to be an ongoing series when I haven't written a script. This is just going to be like a nice cool down, nice relaxing, good My Hero Academia what if. So anyway, hopefully you guys did enjoy. This story was made by Sesake. Make sure to follow him on Wattpad. He hasn't told me to say this, but you know, great guy. I thank you so much for allowing me to do this. It made my day, honestly. So anyway, have a great day everybody. Goodbye.